DORK Podcast with Rich Keefe. It's the DORK Podcast with Davey. It's the DORK Podcast. Hashtag. It's the hashtag DORK Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Eyeballs. He is Rick Rude Von Dick Dude. He is Renfield Von Denfield. All hail the king of ginger ale. It's Ryan Davey. Davey, how are you?
I'm afraid to talk right now. Do I sound okay?
It has to do with the connection. It has to be the connection because my shit's fine.
You sound like $1 million, Ryan.
There's no rhyme or reason to any of this. I don't understand.
Much to the chagrin, I would say, of many a listener, that you do not. It is not Davey Dick this week.
It is not, and I don't know why. I don't know why I sound normal. Some days I sound normal. Some days I don't. I have no idea.
Well, it's just.
But I'm happy to be here.
It's another reason to tune in, right? You have
Right.
no idea. You tune in, you're like, is it? Fuck, I'll stick around anyway.
We'll see.
You know? Plenty to get through today. And Ryan, you're not going to tell anybody, are you? That I just housed my dinner.
Did you?
Oh my God, I just like woofed it. It was disgusting. I was like,
What'd
I don't
you
have a
have?
lot of time.
What'd you do?
My wife made pizzas. We do pizza night every once in a while. It used to be we'd both make a pie, like
Yeah.
in the dough and fucking like we're doing it up. And then mine always were kind of shit. She'd have to help me anyway. So now I just kind of stay out of the way. We do like a salad and
You
pizza.
put cucumbers on it?
This one,
Like
well,
in
we
a-
do like a salad with it.
No, that was in Seinfeld when Kramer comes up with the idea to make your own pies, and Poppy gets mad at him because he says he wants to put cucumbers on it.
Put whatever you want in there is what I would say. No, we went pepperoni mushroom tonight.
Nice.
Oh, just stop.
Not a mushroom guy, but I appreciate the earthy, the earthy flavor of mushrooms. I just don't like the texture.
Mario also doesn't like mushrooms. Not to spoil that movie away for you, but
Jesus, here we go with spoilers.
Oh yeah, so just proof that we do read the emails that come into dorkpodcast@gmail.com. Some guy was hot and bothered, and even gave Davey a new nickname. He called him Davey Spoilers, although he did spell Davey wrong, which I feel
I think he wrote my name 4 or 5 times in the email and spelled it incorrectly every single time. If you look at my Twitter, it's right
Everywhere.
there. It's
Everywhere.
right there. It's the only thing right there.
I would also argue that Davey, the way you spell it, Dave with a Y, is much more common than Davie.
Well, I think the more common name is Davies, which is Davies, but
fucking
still,
it's one of them.
Davey. Yeah,
singular.
It was only one of them.
I was all fucking hot about you spoiling because I still couldn't
even 10 years old.
I don't even know what you spoiled. I don't even know what you spoiled.
And I think he said the quote was like, "The game's like 10 years old." I think it was The Last of Us or something.
Must have been The Last of Us, but like
the
we
game's
never
like 10 years old. But like
we never spoiled the game.
It never spoiled anything, and all I ever said was the next episode's in Philadelphia. A location, setting isn't a spoiler.
Like this guy just needs to stay off the internet if he's that.
Well,
Like,
the only thing
I didn't like spoilers, but this guy like takes it to the next level.
The only thing I have to say to that guy is Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
I actually have 3 words for that guy. Fuck you. Oh shit, that wasn't supposed to play.
This week in DORK.
Episode 7 of The Mandalorian this past Wednesday. Ryan,
you can't see me if you're listening to this podcast. I'm throwing my hands in the air and saying, like, why couldn't you just done this the whole time?
do more of these. We talked last week about, is The Mandalorian great anymore? We both said no. And then this episode, the penultimate of season 3, incredible. Here's my theory. What do you think of this as a theory? Dave Filoni basically saved the prequel trilogy by making Clone Wars and Rebels and sort of tying in some different things, adding new characters, and like making you actually want to rewatch those movies because of what he did. I feel like with The Mandalorian and probably Ahsoka Tano, he's gonna make the new trilogy way better than however you viewed it.
And then the next trilogy, which they've announced, right?
Okay.
So I mean, this guy knows what he's doing.
Gaps. He's got a shovel and he's just filling in plot holes. He's filling in nonsense.
Here's a hot take, though. The person who's writing all of these episodes is Jon Favreau. Maybe Jon Favreau is the weak link here.
I would imagine, I could see that. I trust Filoni completely. I think Favreau's much more hit or miss when it comes to this stuff.
There's like things that Ron Swanson bit me. He's like, I know more than you. Like, I feel like there's nobody who knows more Star Wars than Dave Filoni. on the
And
planet.
that's why I kind of like the idea of these. So say right now you have 9, would you call them like tent pole movies,
Yes.
right? Like episode 1 through 9. Not that they came out in that order, but all the stuff that's in between, I feel like the super fan gets in charge of it. So like the people that did Andor, or the people that did Rogue One, or the people that did everything Filoni's touched, it's like, all right, we'll look at these movies and we'll find the good in there, even when some of them aren't so good. And then we're going to do our own thing, and it's going to be incredible. And this last episode, without spoiling anything, is so, first of all, it's so good. Like the action, the characters that are involved, some of the things that we learn, but also where this is headed and how this fits in the overall universe is perfect. Like I love it. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah. So someone, just not to harp on this again, but Nathan and Josh in the chat brought up that was the spoiler guy Kyle's dad. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this.
I don't think so.
In his email, he says he doesn't watch trailers. So saying something's in the trailer.
Oh.
He said in the email that saying something is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. He thinks it's a spoiler because he doesn't watch the trailers. And if you remember correctly, Kyle's dad did not watch the trailers and plugged his ears and put his head between his knees.
Interesting. That is true. So there's an overlap there. So good detective work there.
Detective work there. Sorry, not to derail that. The Mandalorian episode 7 was very good. I'm interested to see where episode 8 goes now, because we have to bring back the Grogu chest piece. I think Grogu's going to have to like take some fire for his boy.
I think so. I think we're going to get more Grogu. Also, looking at it, this last episode actually was co-written by Favreau and Dave Filoni.
There you go. And I love, by the way,
good stuff was Filoni.
The yes button when he got his
pretty great
robot. Yes. At
first, I was like, "Oh, is Babu Frick going to drive that thing around?" And I'm like, "That'd be kind of cool." And they're like, "Yeah, Grogu's going to do it." I'm like, "Yeah, it's also kind of cool." Bo-Katan, great stuff. The Armorer.
I'm not knowing what's going on with the Armorer.
The Armorer. I think I do know what's going on with the Armorer, but I love it. And then,
how about Skinny Pete?
Skinny Pete, pop it in there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great. And then basically, if you are a fan of the Clone Wars and Rebels and any characters that were in there, and you want to see what they're going to look like all grown up and in live action, you're going to see it with these shows.
You are going to see it. And they make mention of somebody who you were going to see very soon.
Oh, yeah.
And they're asked, where is his ass?
Where you been? Where you been? People want to know. All right. I can't wait. So next week, our episode will be The Mandalorian, because this Wednesday is the finale.
That's right.
Next week at this time, we're going to be balls deep into The Mandalorian.
I'm gonna see that and Evil Dead next week. Yes.
Yeah, should we do like a dink for Evil Dead, or should we do, because Mandalorian's got to be the fucking episode?
Oh, yeah, it has to be. I'm sitting 95% on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Evil Dead is. Man, people like Evil Dead.
Sure do.
People like it.
Yeah.
What people also like, Ryan, is that HBO Max is soon going to be just called Max.
Why?
Because HBO is confusing. No, I have no idea.
It started as HBO Go. Now it's HBO Max. Now it's just going to be Max, bringing back. And I know they went to HBO Max because they bought Cinemax. They brought, like, Cinemax died, and they brought all their stuff over. It was the same company.
That what happened?
Yeah.
But that now, like, is it Warner Brothers Discovery was like, oh, we think HBO, that name like turns some people off. And I'm like, no, HBO is probably the best name in TV.
That's your top tier people are watching HBO.
HBO is the best thing. All the best TV shows are HBO, and then they still get the occasional good, like all these big time movies. They all have like affiliations. So like, if it's a Universal movie, it's going to go to Peacock and whatever else. But HBO still gets really good movies. So I don't know why they're doing that. But
I don't know why they're doing that either. But tell you what, they bring Cinemax in. There's some good skin.
Oh yes. Yes, they do, Ryan. Yes, they do.
Anything with car wash in it or bikini, it's on there.
You into erotica? Look at you some. How
about just a wild romp through a bikini car wash? We got that.
And like a weird montage where you're like, did I see anything? No,
no.
It cuts just in time.
They're kind of bouncing at the same time. It's not really anything going on there.
Rewind it. I think I saw insertion. Like you didn't.
You didn't. No,
you didn't see anything. But I'll tell you what is coming to the Max. That would be the Penguin standalone or the spin-off series of the Batman, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. And there's a little bit of a teaser. We tweeted it out at Dork Podcast, and I'm definitely intrigued by this. Like, I thought there were stronger characters in the Batman, but Penguin's good, cool character. I'm interested to see like what the crossover is. Looks like Sophia Falcone is going to be in it as well. So I'm in on this.
Yeah, and it's cool too because it's kind of like him getting more involved in the underworld. So it's kind of a nice bridge between the Batman and whatever Reeves has planned next, because Reeves is writing these, directing some, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm excited. The clarity of vision is there.
It seems like, yeah. So like, it reminds me of James Gunn did the Suicide Squad, and then he did Peacemaker.
Right.
Like he did all Peacemaker, and like I
Which
feel
you're
like
looking at it like this totally makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it's great. Speaking of DC, Titans, which has already been canceled, but this is the final season. They did one of those stupid, hey, it's the final season, we're going to do half our episodes, then take a break, and then do another half of the episode. So I forgot all about it, but the two new episodes are available now on the Max.
Really getting that mileage out of that, huh?
They are.
Yeah.
There's some good in there. I can't fully recommend it because there's so much shit to watch, but there's definitely good in there, and it's a romp. I like it, and they have some deep cut DC stuff in there too.
Yeah, was it Brother Blood is like the new?
Oh, is he in there now?
Like that? Yeah,
fucking probably.
Okay.
Barry's back tonight.
I watched I did like a catch up because I forgot. I feel like in season 3, like it was so unlike all of the first 2 seasons that I needed to kind of like recap it. And I was watching this video of like the retrospective of like this season, all the actors talking about it. But it was really cool. But the big takeaway is that Bill Hader was like, the whole 4th season isn't going to be the end of season 3. Like you are going to laugh again. I'm like, okay, thank God, because it was way dark,
like a great show and like so well done, but there were few laughs. Like,
he said there were certain things that we were talking about that you couldn't make it funny,
right?
So you had to just go all in with it. So which they did, which was great. It was great TV, and I'm looking forward to watching that tonight.
Yeah, same. Cocaine Bear, if people haven't seen it, is now streaming on the Cock, so you can get in on Cocaine Bear. Which Friday night, me and my wife watched Cocaine Bear, and swear to God, multiple times she said, "This isn't what I expected." To which I said, "What the fuck did you think Cocaine Bear was going to be?"
What did you think it was?
She's like, "God, this is like so violent." I go, "If anything, I need more cocaine and I need more bears." I'm like, "This is not even enough for me." I don't know what she thought. Like, clearly she didn't see like the trailers of it or anything, and like she saw like the based on a true story. She thought it was gonna be like more about like the actual bear. I'm like, "No, this is it." And I go, "This is it.
This is it. This is a bear who does cocaine and goes on a rampage."
She was like shocked by it. My take was, and this is going to sound like I'm a little bit of a stick in the mud because I didn't love Mario Brothers. I didn't love Cocaine Bear either. Did you see it yet?
Not yet.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's one of those things that I'm going to like, I'm not going to like tell everybody to go see it.
No. And but this is a kind of movie that like I would like if it was funnier. I'd like it more if it was like, I don't know, it wasn't like a piece of shit. Like I'm glad I didn't spend money in the theater.
You said it used to be a piece of shit.
Oh, it used to be. Oh yeah. Do you think this is slicked back? But yeah, so you can see Cocaine Bear if anybody wants in on that. Yeah, good point by Christopher in the chat. I'll tell you, the Cock right now. Oh, that's a different one. Here we go. They Knock at the Cabin, Megan, and Cocaine Bear all streaming on Peacock right now.
This is a tepid take. Not in Megan when she started dancing might have been the hardest I laughed all year watching a movie.
I thought you were going to say the hardest you've gotten all year.
No, I laughed. Like I laughed because it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Trying to think when the hardest I got was this year. Anyway, yeah, no, that movie was like that movie was much better than Cocaine Bear, I think. Megan.
Oh yeah, Megan was good.
Megan was pretty good. We got a trailer for The Marvels, which comes out November 10th. Brie Larson is back. Ms. Marvel is back.
Monica
Monica
Rambeau.
Rambeau is back. It doesn't look bad to me. It looks
doesn't
fine.
look bad. I don't understand. So I was reading something the other day that it was like Marvel's like most disliked trailer that it's ever put out. And I don't understand how Brie Larson has become like this like flashpoint for like these incel guys who think she's like ruining comic book movies. Like, I don't know why that's all getting like dumped on her.
It's really strange because I had no idea any of that was going on, and then I saw an interview that she did, or like it was on Twitter, so probably not even the whole interview, it's probably just part of it. And like she's clearly aware that like there's a group of like probably angry people on Twitter, small group I would imagine, but at least they've made themselves known that like can't stand her, and like so she's made comments about like, well, maybe I won't be back. Like nobody wants me to do this show. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
who said that?
She's great at it.
I think she's lovely.
I invited her on the podcast.
We did.
We invited her on the podcast. Still waiting to hear back. So
she's very busy. She's doing all those Nissan commercials. So yeah.
Like what the? I don't understand. Like she's excellent. And I think this movie, actually, she's going to be even better in, because I think this one's going to highlight more of her comedic chops compared to the last one.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Speaking of comedic chops, The Muppets Mayhem comes out May 10th. This looks great.
I don't know if I can watch it though.
Why?
I have we have a very deep connection to Janice in the Electric Mayhem. I don't know if we're going to put her on full display. Although it's a series too, right?
It's a series, yeah.
And
so
the cameos that they have look awesome.
There might be like a Janice episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm excited for that. What about Creature Commandos? This is going to be an animated show in the new DCU. It all connects. This is one of the things that James Gunn promoted. You're going to get a Frankenstein in here. David Harbour. Frank Grillo is going to be in this as well.
Frank Grillo's jumping ship. He did not like, he said in an interview recently, he did not like how Crossbones was handled. So that's what made him jump ship to DC.
It's funny that, so Crossbones, Frank Grillo's Crossbones, and David Harbour was the Red Guardian. And they're both fucking doing DC stuff, animated, like voiceover DC stuff.
And there's some good voice actors in that show too.
Dude, one of the best parts of Paul T. Goldman, which again, not enough people talk about. Davey recommended this. It's an absolute scream. You got to watch it on. I mean, that's also on Peacock. And so Paul T. Goldman is talking about how like he's divorced or whatever, and he's like dating and how awful dating is. He's talking with Frank Grillo about it, who's also divorced. And he's like, so he's like, he's like, it's terrible. And Frank Grillo, who's like jacked and super handsome, he's like, yeah, actually, I'm having some fun with it. Like it's actually going pretty well. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
I love to listening to Paul T. Goldman fawn over Frank Grillo. Like, isn't he the coolest? Isn't he the coolest guy? Like, relax, man.
Yeah, he kind of is.
He kind of is. Yeah, you're right.
Kind of is. All right, there's the news.
It's time for Davey's video game minute. Even if it takes more than a minute.
All right, what do you have?
Well, first of all, this portion of the program, I'm going to make it brought to you by our friends at 47brand.com. You notice this wonderful hat I'm wearing, the 617 with the marathon colors.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. I did that on purpose. I was also wearing my Celtics playoff shirt. Not 47, but the hat is.
It is.
One of the things I've been living for on the internet recently, Richard, I noticed it was trending, and I'm looking at it. You know the brand Fanatics, which is like 47 brands, like competitor. They have like licenses.
They're taking over the NHL.
But everyone has been posting like all the dog shit that they get from them. Like they posted on their thing, like it's supposed to be this like high quality thing, and they get it back, and like numbers, like they buy jerseys and like the numbers like peel off.
Yeah, but aren't they the new apparel sponsor of the NHL? I think they just signed a deal with them.
Yeah, but like all their stuff is garbage. So if you go on, like if you look at Fanatics on Twitter, like go to 47 and buy something, go to Fanatics just to see how shit their stuff is.
And you can't use the promo code #DORK at Fanatics, but
you can't use it at Fanatics. You can use
brand.
it at 47 brand and get yourself a nice marathon hat like I have. Just throwing that out there. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to Twitter recently, but I have been just hunting on EA Sports PGA Tour.
So you're
Which
smacking the old ball around.
Which, by the way, it's the closest thing you're going to get to like an old Tiger Woods game. There is a arcade mode instead of like a simulation mode, so you can actually play like old school like Tiger Woods. You have to do I'll do the thing like you still have to do the power. You do like the.
Oh yeah.
Wait, look how fast I go. Ready?
Wow, that's real fast.
It's pretty fast. So I'm just juicing the ball. And it's the triumphant return of every time I play a sports game and create my character now, his name is Slim Dickens.
Yeah, Slim Dickens killing it.
Which is Slim Dickens is just holding him from 200 out. Doesn't matter. I'll hold it.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Another game I've been playing. It's in early access right now. I played it on Steam. We'll go on PC news right now. A game called Ravens Watch, which think of it like this. It's like a Diablo Hades type of game, like a dungeon crawler, but you can play as Beowulf, the White Queen, the Pied Piper, and Red Riding Hood. Who at night
shit! I like this. I like this kind of stuff. Like
it's early access on Steam. Yeah, it's like Fables, but everyone has like the Pied Piper is actually pretty sweet because you actually you play notes which hurt these monsters, but then you can just the more you hit them, you build up like a following of rats, and then you can send the rats against people.
That shit.
It's pretty nice.
I like it. So, that's good stuff.
So speaking of dungeon crawlers, so Diablo news. So Diablo's coming out in June, promises free content like every 3 months, like story content. So Blizzard does something right every now and again. Like Blizzard does something right. So like new missions, new story mode stuff. So, but we are very close to 1 week away, week and a half really from Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
Which is the next Fallen Order game, which the more I see of it, the more I like it. I feel like you can actually, there's a style to this. I want to be able to like use lightsabers the way I would use them. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, of course.
Would you go with 1 or 2?
I say I would go with 2. I think 2 looks cool, but I would probably give up 2 quickly and focus on the 1.
And focus. I would get really good at 1, but you can also
like, here I go. I can do this, and I'm like, no, I can't.
What if you could do the double-ended?
Well. Yeah, I think that'd be too. It would be too much. Maybe
people
too much.
Struggle. People struggle with the double-ended one.
Yeah, sure they do.
Unless you're Jennifer Connelly in Requiem for a Dream.
Oh,
she didn't seem to struggle with it. Did you know? By the way, we've fallen off the map here. We have fallen off the road. Did you know? There's no Overwatch character.
There's a new Overwatch character.
Yes, called Life Weaver. Yeah. Support character, throws flowers at people, grows trees. That's how, life.
I haven't played that game in fucking forever. I'm still trying to finish these other games. I think I'm finally at the end of Ragnarok. I think we finally like geared our crew up and we're going after Odin. I think I'm finally ready for that.
Nice.
But I'm way behind.
Did you deal with Heimdall yet?
Yeah, I smoked out Heimdall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was going to be tougher. I was kind of surprised. I thought he was going to be. I mean, I'm playing on like the middle.
You're Kratos.
Yeah, it's true.
But the news with that too, good thing you brought that up. They have New Game Plus now. So once you're done with it, you can play it again.
I saw that. I was like, oh shit, I gotta hurry this up. I got like a sequel for both games I'm playing right now. I gotta finish.
So that's Davey's Video Game Minute. Smoked right through that.
I love it, right?
There we go. Let's talk Renfield.
Y'all ready for Bisque? Right, ready for the topic du jour?
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad you asked. The topic of the day. And today,
last week, I saw a film. As I recall, it was a horror film.
It is Renfield, the 1 hour and 33-minute film that was in theaters this weekend. Currently on Roddy T's, 59% by the critics, 80% by the audience. We begin with all of our movie and TV reviews, spoiler free. Ryan, Renfield, did you like it?
No. Not really.
All right, ask me.
Did you like it?
Yeah, kinda.
See, it's frustrating. This is one of those frustrating movies for me. Okay. I didn't like it. It wasn't that. No, I can't because I don't want to be Davey spoilers right now. But there are certain things about this that, like,
let's save that. Then I suppose
there were, as they say, when you in real estate, like the bones were there. Like you had everything you needed,
and they were their money.
And the bones were their money, right?
Right.
You had everything you needed to be successful. You had 2 funny writers. You had a good director for this. And it just didn't get there. It just never got there for me.
Well,
I'll expand later.
Yeah, that's fine. I liked it. First of all, I love the idea of it. And just like you said, like just because you like the idea doesn't mean you're going to like the movie. But there is something, and I'm not the literary guy on the show. You're more the literary guy. But to me, there is really something cool about the fact that there was a character who was a supporting character in a book that was written in 1897. And in 2023, he's getting his own standalone movie. And I understand Count Dracula is one of the most favorite fictional, quotes, fictional characters of all time. But still, it's amazing to me. And like, just to take a character like Renfield, and he's been in a bunch of movies, he's been in shows, and like, I don't know I don't know what percentage of Dracula reenactments they also include a Renfield, but it's whatever, it's a decent amount of them. And
I
so
believe in the Clive Barker one, I think he was played by Tom Waits.
I think you're 100% right. Yes. Yeah.
Which is one of the best depictions of in the insane asylum, eating the cockroaches. I thought that was awesome. Yeah.
So I like that they were doing that. Now, one of the big draws to this movie was clearly going to be Nicolas Cage as Count Dracula. Too much, if that's even possible, just enough or not enough of Cage as Dracula.
Not nearly enough. I needed more of that, and that's one of the things that frustrated me is like you had this guy who was coming off probably one of the best performances of his career in the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. They're like leaving Las Vegas, won an Oscar, obviously, but like Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent was so good, and you getting him right on the heels of that, and you get to let him just be Nicolas Cage for an hour and a half being Dracula, and he like Hannibal Lectered it. I don't feel like he was in it enough.
Yeah, they could have been more. I wonder if it'd be a good question to like get the runtime of him in it. He was great though. Like he was
just exactly what you thought he would, but like I needed that all the time.
Yeah, there needed to be more of it.
And yet I got someone else who I just need 10 minutes of you, and I don't need an hour of you.
So I was blown away. I didn't even realize that this person was in the movie that you're talking about, and it hurt the movie.
It hurt the movie.
It hurt the movie quite a bit. Is this a spoiler, or should we save that? Maybe
save it.
I'll save that. So Nicholas Hoult, who played Renfield, you know him from Beast, from First Class and Days of Future Past and that X-Men run. He's popped up in a few other things as well. He was in what was that fucking weird The Menu that just came out. He also did an interview recently where he talked about movies or roles that he didn't get. And he's like, obviously, you know, like I'm fortunate to have the ones I have, blah, blah, blah. So it said he auditioned for The Batman. It wasn't specific as to what. I assume they meant The Batman, but I wonder if he also auditioned for like The Riddler, because I feel like he could have played either one.
He would be a great Jonathan Crane too.
He would be. Oh yeah, yeah. So he was hopeful for that, didn't get it. He also apparently he got Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, but then he had a conflict with something else, so he had to get out of it. And then he also auditioned for Top Gun Maverick, I assume the Miles Teller role, and didn't get it. But I'm like, dude, you lost out to Robert Pattinson, Paul Dano, and Miles Teller. Like,
that's fine.
Sorry.
Yeah.
they're kind of better.
Yeah.
This guy once dated Jennifer Lawrence though for
did.
like 3 years. He's got that going for him. I thought he was a good Renfield though. Now again, it's a different take on Renfield, but he's a good actor. I have no problem with him.
He is a good actor, and I liked the victimhood. I thought one of my favorite parts of the movie actually happens like right in the beginning of the movie, when he's in that support group.
Yeah.
And they have a certain conversation that like I would have with people.
It was good.
You would feel I feel like watching this with you, I would have looked to you and be like, how do you feel about this? We would have had to pause it, and you would have had to like talk about this thing.
Correct. I would say it's not going to be confused with like the funniest movie of all time, but a lot of these horror movies, or even a lot of these comic book movies, kind of go for comedy, or they like assume like, oh, and it's also a comedy, but like you barely laugh. I thought this actually had a few laughs. Like I thought this was relatively funny.
It was relatively funny and gory and silly to the point where like it's watchable. I'll tell you what, it's a better vampire movie than Morbius by a long shot.
Wow. Oh yeah. Way better. Yeah. So I thought there was some good stuff. Yeah, there's one part specifically that really kind of bugs me.
Yeah.
It's not scary per se, but there's still like some cool Dracula shit, some cool vampire shit, some cool like you mentioned it's gory, so it's not for everybody. Like if you're kind of get the weak stomach, it's not that. But some of the gore is just gory. Some of the gore is definitely used for comedy. So like that part I thought was enjoyable. Like and for a 90-minute horror / comedy, I thought it was good. And it was probably split the difference. Like there's a lot of horror comedies that are better than this, like Cabin in the Woods and Shaun of the Dead and whatever. Like there's plenty. This is not bad. Like I didn't think it was bad. Now, I don't think it's a theater movie. This is the perfect movie for in a month. It's going to be on Peacock. Grab some beers, grab some snacks, and watch it when it comes out on Peacock.
And you can go rip a 5-minute long piss and come back, and you're not going to miss anything.
You could bleed the snake.
Yeah, you're not going to miss a thing. There's no like plot points that you absolutely need to know.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah,
you'll figure it out. All right, I'm curious now. Unless you have something else, what is your hashtag dork score for this movie?
I'm torn between a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3.
I definitely liked it more. I'm going 4.
Okay.
I'm going 4, and I've seen.
I'm happy you did because I feel like you could have talked me into a 3.5.
All right.
And so with the split, with our split of our scores, it becomes a 3.5. So I'm completely comfortable with that. What did we just give? We gave Mario what?
3.5. I gave it 3.5. We both gave it 3.5. I think this is better than Mario.
It's
I think it's
what it is. Yeah.
So I've seen 17 movies that have come out this year, and I have this 6th.
I have it a little lower, but I haven't seen as many movies as you. So,
but like of the movies that we have done, John Wick's obviously much better. Ant-Man, I think Ant-Man's better. I personally think Scream is better, but then I think this was better than Mario and Shazam, which were the other two.
Yeah, way better than Shazam.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, so yeah, yawn for me.
Yeah. Oh, you a little sleepy?
Sorry, man. Yeah.
A little sleep. A little tired.
Yeah.
All right. If anybody has seen it, and if you're in the chat, let us know what your Renfield dork score was. You can also email us dorkpodcast@gmail.com, and you can tweet us at dorkpodcast. If you have seen Renfield, let us know what your score is.
Spoilers! 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 Here come the spoilers!
Yeah, we both have the same issue, I think, with the movie, and that is
I do not understand the obsession or the fascination with Aquafina. I don't get it. I don't get it.
So here's what happened to me. I don't know if she was in the trailer or not. I just remember highlighting Nicolas Cage as Dracula, knowing that Holt was playing Renfield, being excited that they're making this movie. It seemed so kind of like a real silly goose movie, and I was excited for that. And it was like 2 days ago, something popped up on Twitter, and it was like Renfield star Aquafina interviews, blah, blah. I'm like, Renfield star? I'm like, she's in this. She's probably in it more than anybody else.
And at some point, like I had to go back and like really think about it. Like there were certain swaths of this movie where it was this like sister cop with a dead dad thing that just completely took over the movie. Like I feel like Renfield became a secondary character in his own movie.
I agree. That part alone like kills it. Like if you didn't have that, I can only imagine how good the movie was, because I overall liked it, and I found myself at the end of it being like, oh, that's pretty good. But you're right, that was just such a downer. And at first I was like, maybe she'll surprise me, because I thought she ruined Shang-Chi. She was one of the reasons why I didn't like Shang-Chi, even though overall it might have been a good movie. I couldn't stand it because of her. And then I'm like, well, maybe that was the character, maybe it's not the person as much. And then in this movie, I'm like, let me give her a chance. So then when I first saw her pop up on the screen, I'm like, let me give her a chance. And then like, no, not for me.
I just don't get it. Whoever her agent is like deserves an award or something. She's like, I don't get it. The other thing too is like, you have Chris McKay, who's directed this movie, who directed Lego Movie and Lego Batman. Funny, like he creative dude, right? You had Ryan Ridley, who's one of the head writers of Rick and Morty, and Robert Kirkman.
Yeah, Kirkman from Walking Dead did the story.
They wrote, yeah. How do you fuck that up? Like you could see it like in the movie, like there was so much good, and then you could see that like some executive made a decision to like, that's not the cut we're gonna do. Like there has to be a director's cut of this somewhere that's way better. I have to believe that.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, there's got to be something, and they probably were like, "Listen, it has to be 90 minutes," and you're like, "Okay, fine," but like,
And you have to put in this story of like you have to do something with the story of Aquafina and her sister. Like, why?
And
It's
we
a movie
need
about fucking Dracula.
we need 80 minutes of Aquafina. It's like
Why?
don't need it. I don't want it in the movie.
It's
And
a
I
movie
understand.
about. Oh, sorry.
Renfield is gonna need characters to interact with that aren't Dracula, and that's why I personally loved the idea of like the support group. Like that was like on the one hand maybe like an obvious thing, but like it was so great to have him go through the like. If anybody is more codependent than Renfield, it probably doesn't exist. And so for the fact that he's in like modern times sitting there in a room, and right off the shoot, they're sitting there, and one of the women in there is talking about her boyfriend who loves ska music.
Right.
And I was like, let me stop you right there. I've been listening to a great deal of ska music. In fact, one of the bands that they mentioned in there is a deep cut band who I listened to it in the car with my daughter. It's one of my daughter's favorite songs is by the Voodoo Glow Skulls.
Voodoo Glow Skulls, yeah.
It's a song called Bulletproof. It rips. And she loves it.
And I love it. They're like, isn't that like the ska music? Isn't that like 90% horns? And the girl was like, see, that's the type of reductionist thing that was like blah blah. And she's like, oh my god, I'm starting to sound like him.
Who am I?
Like, we're just reducing, minimalizing ska's contribution to modern music or something like that. And I was like dying laughing.
Real Big Fish, I can listen to their entire catalog.
Yep.
Aquabats, their entire catalog. Goldfinger.
You're missing some our hometown heroes, by the way.
Our hometown heroes,
the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Oh yeah, Boss Tones. Oh yeah, I had a Boss Tones poster in my room in high school. I like ska way more than I thought that I liked ska.
You definitely do. Remember, we had a ska band come to school one time, and like we were the only ones who showed up.
Who was the band? Do you remember?
Yes, the name of the band was Bim Scala Bim. They were like a legit ska band back in the day. They were good.
Because it's funny because people would ask me like, "Hey, what kind of music?" You're like, I listen to everything. I would be like, I like like heavy metal. I like grunge. I like rap. I never really say I like ska, but in reality, I fucking love ska.
There was a brief shot. I was that person. I think at like 16 and 17 got like way too into like swing music. I'm embarrassed about that. I'm not as embarrassed about ska than I am about swing.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about with ska. Ska's great.
No, I think you see that meme. Sorry, you see that meme where it's like ska music is what plays when a 13-year-old orders mozzarella sticks. Like that's the music playing in their head. I'm like, that's the best description of that I've ever heard.
Dude, it's so good. Like they're so good, and a lot of those bands do a ton of like covers too. And then so it's like a classic rock song, and then you hear like a ska band doing it. Yeah, it's great stuff.
They got the Hans,
It's mostly horns. Admittedly, it's mostly horns.
But that was a great part, and I love how they brought that back again.
We play on the very popular Rich Keefe show, which airs most nights.
Congratulations on the new show, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Davey.
Yeah.
6 to 10 WEEI. No big deal, kind of a big deal. And we play at 8 o'clock every night. We play Super Rad by Aquabats, and then to close out every show, like 9:55 Eastern time, Beer by Real Big Fish.
Or you should play Sellout because you've sold out now that you're big corporate guy.
That's true. Now that I have my own show, I should play Sellout. It'd be hard to pick from the hits that Real Big Fish have.
They have some really good songs, and on that first album, there's like 3 or 4 like deep cuts that are really, really good. By the way, Josh in the chat, most recent chat, pull it up.
Son of a bitch, Josh. Ska should be a standalone episode.
When we have a week,
we just do ska.
We just ska music.
Yes,
and we just like play because in Spotify you can actually like play music.
Can we play it on the podcast?
Yeah, if it's on Spotify, you can.
On YouTube, YouTube will fucking pull that thing down.
Yeah, true.
Where your head will spin.
That might just be an audio special. That might be like a.
Dude, but we love ska. We are the official podcast of ska. I once reached out to the Aquabats to see if we could use Super Rad as our intro song.
Could you imagine
Brie Larson? They never wrote back.
What if like your 40th birthday? Like I just surprised, like, hey, we're gonna meet at this bar for your birthday, and fucking Real Big Fish was there.
I would jump in my pants.
Or the Aquabats in full with Travis Barker in like
Dave. Not to spoil Dave from episode 2, but when he was reenacting the scene where he says he came soft. He has a guy dial up. He has like a prosthetic guy on set, And he like he's like he was explaining to him. He's like, we need this. He's like, it's in my shorts. He's like, I'm soft, but I came, and he's like, it was a lot of cum. And like, so the guy rings up like a gallon of cum, and it's just like falling out of his shorts. And he goes back, he goes, cut. He's like, he goes, that was way too much cum. What do you think I am, a yak?
I've just pictured it because it came out in like clumps out of him, like those big globs.
And he was wearing shorts, so it's just like on the floor. That was honestly one of the best episodes of TV ever.
the idea of coming soft, just for whatever reason, I think that's the.
What an incredible detail. He's like, because it wasn't even about that, but he's like, this was like how I felt, and it was just like.
We need more Dave in the soundboard, by the way.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
it's oh my god! Is it?
By the way, I know we're off topic now, but I said to you off the air, he does a verse with these guys this episode, this recent episode,
episode 3.
Oh my god! I think it's what gets me every time is like he's so neurotic and he talks with his hands like this, like his hands are all over the place. But as soon as like he starts rapping, it's like a completely different person.
I honestly, he must have heard our critique of the first 2 seasons, where I was like, he is such a good rapper that he needs to put it in more of the episodes.
If we got one episode,
every episode so far he's rapped. Also, I can't watch this show and not think of the interaction that we had with Gata when I was trying to book a cameo from Gata. And we told it on the podcast before, but so this might have been before I got Billy Mitchell to do Davey's happy birthday. And so I was like, hey, it's for my friend, but we're also on a podcast. Like, if you could mention the podcast and blah, 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 blah. And then he denied the request. And then he wrote back on a message. He just wrote false.
Yeah. I think we have to try again.
I probably think about that like once a week, especially now that Dave's back on. I'm like,
every time I see him on TV, I'm like, false.
He said false. What's that?
By the way, great cameos in this episode of Dave too.
Holy smokes!
I'm not gonna spoil anything.
Crazy cameos.
Yeah.
No, but our buddy Opie the Poet, who does our intro, he got a cameo from Gata. He did it for him. Oh.
What are we gonna do? You know,
anyway,
too much Aquafina. You know who I don't? You know who I don't want a cameo from?
Oh, that'd be the ultimate gag gift. Hey, it's me, Aquafina, wishing.
Like I don't get it.
It's not for me. What did you make of Ben Schwartz playing a mob enforcer?
I thought it was like with the stupid neck tattoos and everything. I don't know. Like I think it oddly worked. See, that's the thing that kills me is like you have, you know, Nicholas Hoult like playing straight. Like he's Renfield. He's like and then you have like crazy Ben Schwartz playing like the exact opposite character. The character was the exact opposite of who he is like this mob enforcer.
Correct. He's like all tatted up. But like I like how they did it though, because he is more of a guy playing a guy who says he's a badass and he's not actually a badass. He's in a mob family. His mom is a badass, but he's not. So because at first it's like, this is weird casting. And I'm like, maybe it's actually really good casting. And I was like, and it ended up being fine.
Yeah, he plays like the spoiled dipshit rich kid really well.
Yeah.
Him, Jean-Ralphio. But then you had like Cage too, who was like could have gone full Mandy with this.
Right.
You know, and like I would have loved it.
Yeah, he was not crazy. Like he played it like, you know, that was his take on Dracula, which was good, but it wasn't anything like wild. What did you think of Renfield being kind of like a badass?
I mean, it served the movie. It served it. It was good, but you know, I like my Renfield to be feeble, but this was good. I like I don't why bugs though. Like if he ate something bigger, do you think I'm thinking that while I'm watching this, like if he ate a squirrel, do you think it would help him more?
That's what you were thinking during the movie?
Yeah, because he kept eating like ants. Like if you're that powerful by just eating an ant, like why don't you eat something a little bigger?
I don't know. Maybe he wants to be able to control it.
I guess.
I don't know. But yeah, he ate some bugs. He needed to eat the bugs. And he was
By the way, the Ben Schwartz death scene where he was kicked so hard in the stomach that he both threw up his intestines and shit, or that's impossible. But like you get what I'm saying.
I do. Yeah. So some of the that one fight sequence, like on the stairwell and like or like whatever that area was, like outside
the atrium.
The atrium.
Yeah.
Ripping arms off of a body, and then like using them as javelins, and then just like using them like the rest of the time as weapons. There were some good like blood explosions.
It was a good face rip.
Yeah.
At one point.
Oh yeah, real clean face rip.
A good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat would have been proud of that one.
Yeah, basically it was all just fatalities, like gross fatalities the whole time, which I like you said, it was goofy enough and gory enough where it worked for the movie. But there was that. So you had
go ahead.
You had that scene, and then the next scene. So it's like Renfield and I even forget Rebecca Quinn or like something like that. Like
it was Rebecca Quincy.
Sorry, Quincy.
Right.
So like there's like literally the 30 bodies like on top of each other, and then the next scene is them like sitting down eating lunch.
Yeah.
They're like, we gotta get out of here. And then it's like them just sitting in like broad daylight.
Having a meal.
In the open.
Yeah. Having a meal. Yeah, that was weird. I'm with you. I just need more Renfield Dracula. And even if you wanted to not have more Dracula and to be like, all right, this is a Renfield movie, and you want him to be more like a true supporting character, I think I'd be okay with that. If it was just either more Renfield or better other characters around Renfield. Like
here's how I would have rewritten this, right? Instead of doing like every time he goes to like he had that like really like in the beginning when like Dracula looked all fucked up because he got burned, but he didn't have anything to eat. And they were moving around.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
If you had, how he kept like yelling at him to like come back and like help him, but he was at like the meeting. So like every time he had to go like find him, and like Dracula just kind of like looked like a bag of shit, like trying to like do it himself. And he has to like you're confused grandfather. You have to like bring him back to the house.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like stop what he's doing and like go get him. Like that would have been funny, and that would have happened a couple times.
Yeah. You definitely could have done that. You could have done more of that. Yeah. They did have old footage from the like Bela Lugosi Dracula.
It's pretty cool.
Like they used that shit, and that was like Van Helsing and shit at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like I like that stuff. The problem is there's been so many versions of it, and most of them are bad that it's kind of like bastardized the story. But like it doesn't get any cooler than that. Like just that whole world. So also a terrible movie was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So the Alan Moore comic book, which is really good, but it's the idea of like these types of characters all existing. So like the Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Mina Murray, like all those different characters being together. Like I wonder, not that this is going to be in a universe, and not that they need to, because they've fucked up the monster verse like so many times.
Yeah.
But is there anybody from that world? Because like when they did the Elizabeth Moss Invisible Man movie and did the old twist on that was really good. Like I like really that. Like, is there anybody else you'd want to see? Like, should they go back to the well on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or one of these old school like classic tales? Like,
see, I would love to watch like a remake of that, but done in the style that it was done in before. So not like like an updated version of it, but like what if you think of like Werewolves by Night, like you shot it like in that way, in like a 45-minute. Like right to HBO Max or something like that. I think that would be really cool. But shot like grainy, like super grainy black and white. And
yeah. No, I like that. I don't know what they're gonna do from here. This seems kind of like a one-off.
By the way, did you know that Frankenstein and Dracula were written in the same house on like the same weekend?
Really?
Like there was so it was like Mary Shelley,
Stoker.
Well, the Shelleys had like people and Bram Stoker, they invited like Bram Stoker over, and there was like this weekend retreat, and both the ideas for both of those stories came out of that house, and they were like they were trying to scare each other.
That's crazy.
With stories. Isn't that nuts?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like two of the greatest fucking stories of written ever.
Yeah, it would be like if the fucking White Album and Pet Sounds were like recorded in the same studio at the same time.
Yeah, seriously. No, it really is.
Yeah.
Renfield did not exactly rake in the money. It'll be only true diehard #dork listeners are going to listen to this episode. Renfield made at the U.S. box office. Do you want to take a guess what it made this weekend?
Just I don't know, a sawbuck. How much did it make?
$7.8 million. Good enough for fourth place, trailing the $87 million that the Super Mario Brother movie made in its second weekend. The Pope's Exorcist beat it out. $9.2 million for Pope's Exorcist.
I didn't even know that came out.
And John Wick 4 in its fourth week made 7.9. Renfield did barely beat Air, Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, which Dungeons and Dragons getting good reviews, actually. I think
It is.
I think it'll be decent. So I got to see Air and Dungeons and Dragons when at some point. And actually, I'll see the Pope's Exorcist too. I'll watch
Yeah, I'll
that.
see that. Russell Crowe, right? Big fat Russell Crowe.
I think it's big old Hoss Russ Crowe. Still kick your ass though, I bet.
It probably could. Probably
I
drink
bet
me too.
I bet he'd kick your ass.
Kick your ass.
I bet. Tell you what about Russell Crowe.
And he likes ska music. He was in a band with a terrible name.
Who does it? Oh, that would be. Oh, that's what we should do too. I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but when we do our ska episode, we need to come up with what our ska band name would be.
Yeah, it would be good.
Yeah. Something fucking
Maybe
cool.
I'll break the old axe out and we'll do some like ska upstroking.
Yeah.
They ding 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 ding. Just like those like up picks, up sweeps. Yeah.
I'll bring my saxophone from 6th grade.
Can you still have it? Can you wail?
No, I rented. I didn't buy. Kidding me? I did have a smooth sax, as said by my music teacher in 6th grade.
Did you see the guy who referred to them as tunes and called you all cats? All right, cats.
No, it was a lady, and she said, "You have a really smooth sax." And I was like, "Yes, I do."
Now, as 10-year-old you couldn't say about anything about rough sax.
I said no. I wasn't quick enough back then, I guess, for the rough sax.
Just
I could play the Beverly Hills Cop theme, Axel F. You like that? You like that?
I demand you rent a saxophone for a weekend and figure that out.
I gotta get a new reed. Give me a nice new reed.
Some bore oil. Get it all lubed up.
Yeah, I can play
for your rough. Get a rough. You lube it up when you want to do rough sax.
I played the fuck out of that though for like a year. Band. They introduced instruments. We didn't have any instruments in our school until like 6th grade. They're like, "You guys want to play instruments?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to play a fucking instrument."
You didn't do recorder?
Oh no. Oh yeah. No, like I mean like real instruments. We had recorders, and then it wasn't until like 6th grade that they were like, "All right, we're gonna have somebody come in here teach the fucking trumpet, teach." And then I was at first I'm like, maybe I want to be a drummer, you know. And then they're like, "Yeah, great. If you're gonna be a drummer, you get to start out with just a snare." I'm like, "No. I need double pedals. I need double sideways. I mean, like I need like 10 cymbals. I can't do just the snare."
Would you like a Ryan Davey factoid?
Yeah, obviously I would. That's the whole point of this.
I almost failed music in 6th grade.
How do you like that?
Because I refused to. Like there was like a project we had to like write our own song, and I didn't
wear pants.
No, I didn't want to do it. Like for whatever reason, like I didn't want to do like my own song or whatever. And I don't know what. So my music teacher calls my parents, and she's like, Ryan shows zero interest in music. Like he like blah blah blah. He shows no effort. He's complete. It was the Brian Sharkey of like the wet blanket.
The best.
She's like, doesn't participate, has no interest in music. And my parents, like on this they're like, he's been playing guitar for like 3 years, right?
Yeah, we can't stop him from playing the goddamn guitar. Yeah.
And my music teacher was like, "What?" I was like, she had no idea. So she's like, just have him. So I passed music in 6th grade. I recorded like a stupid song into my Talk Boy, Home Alone 2.
Hell yeah.
And then I passed music.
What a weird thing.
It's super weird.
Bizarre fucking thing that was.
Yeah.
Anything else on Renfield?
I think we're trying to talk about anything but Renfield at this point. Instantly
Yeah, I guess-
forgettable. If you got nothing else to do on a Friday night, it's the perfect movie.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a generous 4, but
It's a long hour and a half, by the way. It's a long hour and a half. That's the other thing I forgot to mention. It didn't feel like an hour and a half.
I'll tell you, our recent movies that we've watched are like these baseball games now. They're humming. Hour and a half, 2 hours. The Mario movie was an hour and a half. This is an hour and a half. I don't
This
know
is
the
the
next.
rare. Yeah, go ahead.
The next. Well, no, we got to watch Evil Dead Rise,
Mhm.
and then Guardians of the Galaxy comes out Cinco de Mayo. So we're gonna be doing Guardians of the Galaxy soon. That's more than an hour and a half, and as it
Gotta
should
be.
be.
In this one, I probably could have stood a little 15, 20 minutes more of Renfield would have helped this movie without Aquafina. 15 more Aquafina-less moments.
More Dracula,
More Dracula.
or at least more Renfield. Yeah, I'm
Christ.
with you. All right. Well, that's that.
Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the bomb. Pick of the bomb.
Pick of the pod.
All right, Ryan, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or you may also choose at this time to defend a goal?
I will defer because I don't feel great about my pick of the pod this week.
So I don't feel great about mine either. Well, so I ended up watching, me and my wife both watched the Boston Marathon bombing documentary on Netflix. I wasn't going to. I can understand if most of you out there are like, nope, don't want to do it. I completely get it. It's gonna bum you out all over again. And so it's 3 parts. They're all like 55 an hour.
Yeah.
And so we started it, and it was one of those things that we're like, all right, next one. And then we just we watched it all.
Might as well. We come this far. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is probably the way to do it, because I don't think you want to just feel that bad for 3 days in a row. Like,
Yeah,
it's fucking terrible, dude. And we were all around it, and you know, whatever. It's just, it was tough, but it is like all those Netflix documentaries, even about like the serial killer. Like it's well done. You hear from a lot of people. Believe it or not, there were a few things I didn't know, which I thought I knew everything about it. But it's not bad, but you kind of know what you're getting yourself into.
And for me, like, I've been on the fence about whether or not to watch this. People keep telling me to watch. Like, they don't tell me to. They recommend it. Say it's really, like you just said, it's really well done. There's some new information there. I just feel like I have all of the information I need. Anything I know further is just going to make me feel worse.
Yeah.
You know,
I
that
get
doesn't
it.
make me feel
It's
good.
probably it's not gonna change what happened that day. It is,
No.
you know, you're just like, and then it's crazy. Tomorrow is, well, if you're watching us live or if you listen to it late Sunday night, tomorrow is the 10-year anniversary. So the marathon's tomorrow. Most people have the day off, and you know, you go and enjoy the marathon, enjoy the Red Sox or whatever else. But man, you can't help but think about it every single time.
Yeah, every single time. Every single time there's a marathon, I think about it, and it's one of the reasons, like, people like me just like don't go. You know,
I know. I get it. I made a point the next year to go, and I'm like, I'm going the next year, and we went down there. I remember my cousin ran it the year of the bombing and was like less than a mile from the finish line and wasn't able to finish because they obviously called off the whole thing. And then she made a point to run it the next year, and so she could finish. And so like it was a whole big deal. I remember my uncle had like an auto shop out in like Framingham that like went by the thing. So like one year we did that. Like we would go. And it was like, it wasn't like a huge tradition like it is in like a lot of families that go every single year. But like I definitely been a handful of times. But it is unreal. And then I remember that whole day too. Like I was at home watching it on TV, and Katie was working. Her office was in Boston.
Yeah.
I remember being like, what the fuck? And like calls her. She's like, what is going on? And then like I went and picked her up. Like the phone's dropped out. Like everybody has these stories. Like every single person has one of these stories. And like some sadly much, much, much worse. And yeah, I don't know, man. It just really bums you out. It's like, you know, the news, not to talk about the news, but just fucking bums you out.
Just everything bums me out these days. And it's one of those things I feel like what's happening currently, that's just going to add to that. Like I'm already stressed out about life in general, and this is going to rehash all of that. You know, I don't know.
In that case, definitely skip it. I was like, what do you want to? And like, this is literally what we thought on Friday night. This is actually what happened. Friday night, I'm like, all right, there's 2 new things that I haven't seen that are available. I'm like, do you want to watch Cocaine Bear or do you want to watch the marathon thing? And so that was the discussion in our house. So the first night we're like, let's just watch Cocaine Bear. Like we were like our head, like let's just watch that. And then the next night we're like, there's nothing else, so let's just start this. And then we went down that whole road. We got trapped, watched the whole thing. But anyway, yeah, if you guys have seen that, hit us up dorkpodcast@gmail.com or @dorkpodcast. Let us know what you thought about that. I will say this: the guy that got carjacked. Remember that whole story?
Yep.
He carjacked and then he escaped.
Mhm.
He's in this documentary, and he is really impressive. And like that whole part of that story is insane. And they don't get these guys if it's not for him. Like that's the guy that got this whole thing to where it was. So anyway, what do you got for your pick?
Oh, nothing that exciting. I watched I never thought I would be on this podcast and praise Bill Simmons. But
I like Bill Simmons. I got no problem with Bill Simmons.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. I just find his things to be like shticky and formulaic.
All right.
Whatever.
Fine.
He started this, it's called Music Box. It's on Max. And so basically it's these short form. This one's like an hour and a half. So it's like a full length like documentary based on like just musicians.
He did Woodstock 99 was one of his, I think.
Yeah.
That might have been tighter than that. Okay.
Yeah. So Music Box is like, it's like specific artists. And there's this guy, Jason Isbell. This is the one I watched. It's called Running with Her Eyes Closed. And so it's basically just like his life, but it's also like how he writes and records songs, which is like, I love watching movies about that stuff.
That's cool.
So his wife plays fiddle in the band, and she also has like an advanced degree in like literature. So as he's just like, a country art. He sang with a group called Drive By Truckers. They kicked him out of the band. He then went and did like a solo thing. But she's got like advanced degrees in literature. So like he's sitting there trying to like write songs, and she's like correcting his grammar. And like, and like his diction, like while he's doing it. And I thought that was like really funny. But yeah, if you're a music fan, it's kind of worth the while. It's kind of a niche thing if you like music, and just it doesn't like I don't really like country music, but if it happens to be a country artist, just seeing that process. So anyway, so he goes in like he has the whole song written, and he goes and performs it in front of like his band. Like that's how they write and record songs.
I don't know shit. And
so he's like, it's really weird to like play a whole song and have like people listening to you and they hate it, but you have to like keep doing it. So it's a really interesting I've never seen that done that way before. So it was actually pretty cool.
Interesting. So that's on the Max.
It's on the Max. Yeah, it's called Running with Her Eyes Closed.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
All right, next week I am pumped. The Mandalorian. We'll see how it ends. I think like in my mind, like the how I view the season, it's kind of teetering. Like there's been some really, really good. There's been a couple really bad. There's been a little bit in between. If you end on a high note, though, that can sway me. That can absolutely sway me.
There are two people who need to show up in this episode.
I can think of one. Oh, you think two? Yeah. I mean, I'd be fine with that. If
like 1A and 1B
you're talking about.
Yeah.
If one of them isn't in it, I'm not going to be as mad. One of them definitely has to be in it.
So we're talking about two different people, but
I'll
tell you who I think.
Separate people.
Yep.
You want to tell me now? Or you want to tell me?
Is it a spoiler? We're going to spoilers.
Right? Well, yeah, we might as well. So
you're thinking Luke and Ahsoka?
No, I'm thinking Thrawn and Ahsoka.
See, I'm thinking that Boba Fett and Fennec Shand need to show up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. That's lesser stakes. I think Thrawn.
They're gonna see his face. You're gonna see his face for
You'll
sure.
see Thrawn. I was gonna say Ahsoka. I don't really need to because we're getting the series. But if she does, she does. I do. So I like in the trailer for Ahsoka. You see Sabine Wren and Ahsoka talk to each other, and like for the first time probably since Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see Bo-Katan and Ahsoka Tano have a scene together. That'd be pretty sweet too.
I mean, Katie Sackhoff is like the star of.
She's killing it
in this show. Yeah.
And that's what everybody's like, oh, like the Mandalorian's not even about the Mandalorian anymore. It's like, I don't care. It's about this Mandalorian, and she's better. Like
she's way better.
Yeah.
Where's his spear, by the way? Remember he had the Beskar spear?
Yeah, what happened to that? Who did he give that? Did he give that to somebody?
I forget, but we need that back. How about that big guy going down? That was awesome.
Oh yeah, God. There was a lot going on. It was great stuff. Good action.
Oh, good.
Fucking
That's it, huh?
armor. The armorer fucked him. Anyway.
Just clanging the hammers. Shouldn't do anything.
No.
Lame-o.
All right. Well, hit us up on Twitter and Instagram at Dork Podcast and YouTube as well. We stream these bad boys Sunday nights at 9. You can always go back and watch them at your leisure as well, or subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a review if you want, if you're so kind. That'll do it for us. Davey, you don't give a shit about anything, do you?
What'd you say?
I said you don't give a shit about anything, do you?
Not really.